The moment these words begin, imagine the ground beneath you trembling, the sky heavy with a truth too vast to ignore, and a call echoing across every generation of humanity. This is not a gentle invitation. This is a divine alarm meant to shake hearts awake. Allah speaks directly to all people, not just believers, not just one nation, but every soul that walks this earth. Before anything else is explained, before rituals or stories or history, the Quran pulls the listener into the reality of what is coming. A day so overwhelming that a mother, in the peak of her natural love, forgets the child she is nursing. A day when fear is not imagined, but visible on every face. This opening does not come to entertain. It comes to awaken. Thank you for watching Islamic Insight channel. From which country are you watching this video? If your heart is drawn to the Quran and the message of Islam, subscribe and be part of a growing community seeking truth and remembrance. Allah begins Surah Al-Hajj by commanding mindfulness, not as a suggestion, but as a necessity for survival. The consciousness of Allah is the foundation of everything that follows. Without it, rituals become empty motions and belief becomes fragile. The Quran does not soften the reality of the last hour. It describes it vividly because denial thrives in comfort. When life feels stable, people forget accountability. This opening shatters that illusion. It forces the listener to confront a simple truth. This life is temporary, and every soul is moving toward a meeting it cannot escape. The terror described is not exaggerated, nor symbolic alone. It is a warning rooted in divine knowledge, meant to redirect hearts before it is too late. Then the surah turns its gaze toward a dangerous kind of faith, one that appears sincere on the surface but collapses under pressure. Allah describes people who worship Him conditionally. When life is easy, when health is strong, when wealth flows, they claim belief and feel content. But the moment hardship touches them, the moment their plans unravel or their comfort is shaken, they turn away, confused and angry, as if faith was a transaction rather than submission. This exposes a deep reality about the human soul. True belief is not proven in ease, it is revealed in trial. Faith that depends on outcomes is not faith at all. It is convenience. This passage is uncomfortable because it is honest. It asks the listener to look inward. Why do I worship? Who do I rely on when life hurts? Surah Al-Hajj makes it clear that losing both this world and the next is the greatest loss imaginable, and that loss comes from standing on the edge instead of planting oneself firmly in trust of Allah. The pilgrimage itself mirrors this lesson. It demands patience, sacrifice, discomfort, and humility. Those who approach Allah only when life is smooth will struggle the moment obedience costs them something. But those who submit sincerely discover strength they did not know they possessed. From the inner world of belief, the surah expands outward to the universe itself. Allah invites the listener to observe what has always been visible but often ignored. The earth beneath your feet was once lifeless, dry, cracked, silent. Then rain falls by Allah's command, and suddenly it stirs, swells, and brings forth every kind of plant. Life returns where death once ruled. This is not random. It is a sign. The same power that revives dead land will revive dead bodies. The same wisdom that brings order to creation governs resurrection. Allah points to mountains firmly placed, to animals created for human benefit, to the precise balance of the natural world, all as evidence that existence is not accidental. These signs are not reserved for scholars or scientists. They are placed in plain sight for anyone willing to reflect. If hearts feel dead, it is not because guidance is hidden, but because attention is distracted. Just as rain awakens the soil, remembrance awakens the soul. Surah Al-Hajj uses creation as a mirror, asking a powerful question without stating it directly. If you trust the ground to grow food after rain, Why do you doubt the promise of resurrection after death? This early portion of the surah lays a foundation that cannot be ignored. Accountability is real. Faith must be sincere. The signs are everywhere. Before speaking of pilgrimage, Allah prepares the heart, because Hajj is not just a journey of the body. It is a journey of belief, certainty, and surrender. And only those who truly reflect are ready to take that step. The Quran now takes the listener deeper, moving from what can be seen in the world to what cannot yet be seen but is guaranteed to come. Resurrection is no longer presented as a distant idea or a theological debate. It is made personal. Allah reminds humanity of its own beginning in a way that is impossible to deny. Every human being, no matter how powerful or proud, began as dust, then a drop of fluid, then something fragile and unseen, slowly shaped and brought into form by divine will. Strength, intelligence, beauty, and authority all came later. None of it was earned at the start. If Allah created life from nothing, if He brought consciousness into existence from weakness and dependency, then bringing life back again is not difficult in the slightest. The surah dismantles doubt by appealing to memory. You were created once. Why should the second creation seem impossible? This reminder humbles the intellect and softens the heart at the same time. It exposes the arrogance hidden behind denial. People often reject resurrection not because evidence is lacking, but because accountability is uncomfortable. To accept resurrection is to accept that every injustice, every secret intention, every moment of neglect or sincerity will be brought forward. Surah Al-Hajj does not allow escape from this reality. It insists that life follows a pattern established by Allah, and death does not break that pattern. Just as growth follows conception and maturity follows weakness, resurrection follows death. Nothing is random. Nothing is forgotten. The one who knows every stage of human development knows exactly how to bring every soul back again. From this certainty, the surah draws a clear line between two paths that people choose, whether consciously or not. There is no confusion in how Allah describes them. On one side are those who believe, who allow this knowledge to shape how they live, how they treat others, and how they respond to trials. On the other side are those who argue about Allah without knowledge, without guidance, and without humility, following arrogance or desire instead of truth. This is not presented as an intellectual disagreement. It is a moral choice. One path leads toward light, purpose, and peace, even through hardship. The other leads toward regret, even if it appears comfortable for a time. The Quran does not shy away from consequences. It speaks of honor and reward for those who believe and act righteously, and it speaks of humiliation and loss for those who reject truth after it has become clear. This balance is central to Islamic belief. Allah is merciful, but He is also just. Mercy is not the absence of justice, it is the opportunity to return before justice is enforced. Surah Al-Hajj emphasizes that no soul will be wronged. Every outcome will match what was chosen. Paradise is not a random gift, and punishment is not an arbitrary threat. Both are the result of lived decisions, intentions, and responses to guidance. This contrast is meant to awaken urgency, not despair. It reminds the listener that belief is not passive. It must move the heart, the tongue, and the limbs. The surah repeatedly ties belief to action, showing that true faith transforms behavior. It changes how a person stands before Allah and how they walk among people. The pilgrimage itself stands as proof of this principle. No one reaches the house of Allah by intention alone. Movement, effort, and sacrifice are required. In the same way, salvation is not claimed through words without substance. It is built through sincerity and obedience over time. Then the surah turns toward one of the most powerful symbols in Islamic history, the sacred house. The Kaaba is not introduced as a monument or a cultural landmark, but as a place rooted in purpose and obedience. Allah reminds humanity that this house was established for worship alone, free from idols, pride, and false authority. It was raised by Prophet Ibrahim, a man who submitted completely to Allah, even when obedience demanded sacrifice beyond comprehension. He was commanded to purify the house for those who would circle it, stand in prayer, bow and prostrate, and he fulfilled that command without hesitation. The call to pilgrimage did not originate from human planning or tradition. It was a divine command. Allah instructed Ibrahim to proclaim Hajj to humanity, and though he stood in a barren land with no visible crowd, that call traveled across centuries. People respond to it even today, coming from distant places, crossing borders, oceans, and languages, driven by something deeper than culture. This is not coincidence. It is the living sign of a promise fulfilled. Every pilgrim who arrives is answering a call that began thousands of years ago, proving that divine words do not fade with time. Surah Al-Hajj frames the pilgrimage as both a physical journey and a spiritual return. The believer leaves behind familiarity and status, wearing simple garments that erase distinction. Rich and poor stand side by side, stripped of titles and privilege. This is not accidental. It reflects the reality of resurrection that the surah has already established. Just as people will rise without wealth or rank, they approach the sacred house as equals, united by submission. The Kaaba becomes a reminder of where humanity began and where it will return, centered around worship of the one who created all. The surah also clarifies that honoring the symbols of Allah is an act of the heart before it is an act of the body. Respecting the sacred house, the rites of pilgrimage, and the limits set by Allah is not about formality. It is about cultivating awareness of His presence. When a believer honors what Allah has made sacred, it reflects inner reverence. This connection between outward action and inward belief is essential. Without it, rituals lose meaning. With it, even difficult acts become sources of peace. In bringing together resurrection, accountability, and the sacred house, Surah Al-Hajj weaves a single message. Life is not aimless. Worship is not symbolic. History is not disconnected from the present. The journey of the soul mirrors the journey to the house of Allah. Both begin with a call, demand sincerity, require effort, and end with return. Those who understand this do not see Hajj as a ritual reserved for a few, but as a reflection of the path every believer walks, step by step, toward their Lord. As the surah continues, Allah turns attention directly to the heart of worship itself, stripping away every misunderstanding about ritual and obedience. The rites of pilgrimage are not presented as empty movements passed down through generations, nor as cultural symbols meant to impress others. They are described as acts filled with meaning, designed to shape the inner state of the believer. When Allah speaks about sacrifice, He makes something unmistakably clear. Neither flesh nor blood reaches Him. No physical offering benefits Allah in any way. What reaches Him is consciousness, sincerity, and reverence that lives within the heart. This statement alone reshapes how worship is understood. It pulls the believer away from performance and pushes them toward intention. Every step taken, every animal sacrificed, every hardship endured during pilgrimage is meant to cultivate awareness of Allah, not to fulfill a ritual for its own sake. This principle extends far beyond Hajj. It defines the essence of Islam itself. Acts of worship only carry weight when they transform the heart. Without sincerity, prayer becomes movement, charity becomes display, and sacrifice becomes habit. Surah Al-Hajj corrects the tendency to focus on appearance while neglecting inner submission. It reminds the listener that Allah is not impressed by form. He responds to truthfulness. This is why honoring the symbols of Allah is described as a reflection of righteousness in the heart. When a person treats what Allah has made sacred with care and humility, it reveals something real within them. Reverence is not forced. It grows from recognition of divine greatness. The surah also addresses the natural resistance people feel when obedience requires effort or loss. Sacrifice is never easy. Giving up comfort, wealth, or personal desire challenges the ego. But Allah reminds the believer that every act of obedience ultimately benefits the one who performs it. Allah has no need for human worship. It is humanity that needs connection, discipline, and direction. When the believer submits, they align themselves with a greater purpose. The struggle becomes meaningful. Pain becomes temporary. Even hardship turns into a form of closeness. Hajj, with all its physical and emotional demands, becomes a living lesson in this truth. It teaches that devotion is proven through action, not intention alone. From worship and sacrifice, the surah moves into one of the most pivotal moments in Islamic history. For years, believers endured persecution, ridicule, and violence without permission to respond. They were commanded to remain patient, to endure, and to trust that justice would come. In Surah Al-Hajj, Allah grants permission for defense, not out of anger or revenge, but out of necessity and justice. This moment is framed carefully. Permission is given to those who are wronged, expelled from their homes, and attacked simply for saying that Allah is their Lord. This is not a call to aggression. It is a declaration that oppression is not sacred and silence in the face of injustice is not always virtue. Allah explains why this permission matters. If wrongdoing were left unchecked, places of worship would be destroyed, and the remembrance of Allah would be erased from the earth. Monasteries, churches, synagogues, and mosques are all mentioned, emphasizing that the protection of worship is a moral responsibility. This passage reveals the balance at the core of Islamic belief. Mercy does not mean weakness, and strength does not mean cruelty. Justice requires restraint guided by principle. Even in conflict, intention matters. Defense is permitted to preserve truth, not to dominate others. This portion of the surah reshapes common misunderstandings. It makes clear that Islam does not promote chaos or forced belief. Faith cannot be compelled. It must be chosen, but the freedom to worship and live with dignity must be protected. When oppression threatens that freedom, standing firm becomes an act of obedience. Allah reassures the believers that victory does not come from numbers or strength alone. It comes from reliance on Him. Those who support His cause are promised support in return, not because they seek power, but because they stand for justice. The surah then shifts again, widening the lens to include all of humanity. Allah reminds people that every nation was given acts of worship, and every community was guided according to its time and circumstance. Differences in rituals were never meant to become reasons for division or arrogance. The core message has always been the same. Worship Allah alone. Submit to Him sincerely. Live with integrity. The surah gently dismantles the idea that guidance belongs to one group by birthright. Honor with Allah is earned through obedience, not lineage or label. This message reaches its fullest expression in the concept of unity. Humanity is diverse by design, but purpose is singular. Allah is one, and return to Him is inevitable. Hajj becomes the physical manifestation of this truth. Millions gather from every corner of the world, speaking different languages, carrying different histories, yet moving in the same direction, performing the same acts, calling upon the same Lord. No symbol could be more powerful. It is unity without uniformity, equality without erasure of identity. Surah Al-Hajj reminds the listener that this unity is not limited to pilgrimage. It is meant to shape how believers view one another every day. The surah calls believers to avoid pointless arguments and distractions. Truth does not need endless debate when it is supported by clarity and action. Instead of competing over differences, believers are urged to compete in goodness, sincerity, and devotion. Allah is the final judge over all disputes. This releases the heart from obsession with control and places trust where it belongs. Guidance is a gift. Accountability is personal. No one carries the burden of another. Through these verses, Surah Al-Hajj builds a complete picture: worship rooted in sincerity, strength governed by justice, diversity united by purpose. The believer is reminded that Islam is not a collection of disconnected commands, but a coherent path designed to elevate the soul and protect society. Every instruction carries wisdom, every allowance carries responsibility, and every call within the surah draws the listener closer to understanding what it truly means to submit to Allah, not only in ritual, but in life itself. As the surah moves toward its conclusion, the message becomes more direct, more demanding, and more empowering at the same time. Allah calls the believer to strive, not casually and not selectively, but with the full weight of effort that faith deserves. This striving is not limited to physical struggle, nor is it confined to moments of visible worship. It is a lifelong commitment that touches every part of existence. It is the struggle to remain sincere when hypocrisy is easier, to remain honest when deception seems profitable, to remain patient when anger feels justified, and to remain obedient when desire pulls in the opposite direction. Allah reminds the believers that He has chosen them for this path, not to burden them, but to elevate them. The religion was not revealed to crush the human spirit. It was revealed to discipline it, refine it, and ultimately free it from enslavement to anything other than Allah. This striving requires balance. Islam does not demand withdrawal from the world, nor does it allow immersion in it without restraint. The believer is taught to stand firmly between the two, engaging with life while remaining anchored in purpose. Allah reassures the believer that He has placed no unbearable hardship in the religion. The commands are demanding, but they are never meaningless. Every prayer, every fast, every act of restraint, every moment of self-control serves a greater goal. Hajj itself stands as a powerful symbol of this striving. It is physically exhausting, emotionally overwhelming, and deeply humbling, yet millions long for it, save for it, and dream of returning. Why? Because within that struggle lies clarity. When the believer pushes beyond comfort for the sake of Allah, distractions fall away and intention becomes sharp. Striving reveals sincerity. The surah then draws the believer's attention to lineage, not of blood, but of faith. Allah commands adherence to the way of Prophet Ibrahim, a man defined not by hesitation, but by complete surrender. Ibrahim did not inherit belief, he chose it. He questioned falsehood, rejected idols, and stood alone when truth demanded isolation. His submission was not passive, it was active, courageous, and unwavering. When commanded to leave his family in a barren land, he trusted Allah. When commanded to sacrifice his son, he submitted without argument. When commanded to build the sacred house, he obeyed with humility. This is the path Allah calls believers to follow. Not a path of ease, but a path of trust. Allah reminds the believers that the name Muslim was given long before the final revelation, emphasizing continuity rather than novelty. Submission to Allah did not begin with one nation or one era. It has always been the essence of true faith. This reminder dissolves pride and strengthens identity at the same time. The believer is not part of a new movement, but part of an ancient covenant between humanity and its Creator. To be Muslim is not merely to belong. It is to submit. It is to accept Allah as the ultimate authority over belief, behavior, and destiny. This connection to Ibrahim also reinforces the meaning of Hajj beyond ritual. Every movement during pilgrimage echoes moments from his life. The trust, the sacrifice, the patience, the obedience. These are not reenactments for memory alone. They are lessons meant to be internalized. The believer is reminded that faith is inherited only through effort. No one stands on the shoulders of Ibrahim unless they walk his path. Titles and claims carry no weight without submission. This realization grounds the believer, stripping away entitlement and replacing it with responsibility. As the surah reaches its final call, the language becomes both commanding and compassionate. Allah instructs the believers to bow, to prostrate, to worship their Lord, and to do good, not vaguely, but actively, so that they may succeed. Success is not defined by wealth, recognition, or dominance. It is defined by acceptance. Acceptance by Allah. The surah does not promise an easy road. It promises a supported one. Allah reassures the believers that He is their protector, their guardian, their helper. This is not poetic reassurance. It is a declaration of reality. When reliance is placed on Allah, the believer is never truly alone, even when circumstances suggest otherwise. The surah closes by returning to the foundation it established at the beginning: awareness of Allah, accountability, purpose. The believer who has listened carefully now understands that Islam is not a collection of isolated beliefs, but a complete framework for living. Worship shapes the heart, striving shapes character, submission shapes destiny. Hajj stands as a concentrated reflection of this entire journey, but its lessons extend far beyond the days of pilgrimage. Every prayer is a form of standing before Allah. Every act of patience is a form of sacrifice. Every moment of obedience is a step toward the sacred house of acceptance. Surah Al-Hajj leaves the listener with no illusion of neutrality. Life is movement. Every soul is traveling. Some move toward Allah with intention and humility. Others drift away distracted and unaware. The surah does not merely inform. It invites, warns, and calls to action. It asks the believer to rise, to submit fully, and to trust that the one who created them, guided them, and called them is the best protector and the best helper. And for those who respond sincerely, that promise is enough.